Hi, welcome to Clay Center Now. I'm Shannon Stark with Clay Center Area Chamber of Commerce, and today I'm sitting down with Wakefield School to talk about their redesign. I have Krista Thomas, who's the K-5 reading specialist, and Ashley Demler, who is the kindergarten teacher at Wakefield. So I have gotten the opportunity to speak with the other schools that are also going through redesign. So you guys are kind of our last stop here in Wakefield. So I'm excited to hear about what you guys have going on. You guys are a little different because you have K-12 in one building. So I'm excited to kind of hear how you guys differ from the other schools I've gotten to talk to. So let's just jump right in. All the other schools have talked about their why. Why are you doing this? And you guys had to come up with that early on when you decided to do redesign. So can you speak on that a little bit about your why?
Sure. We spent a lot of time this fall, first right off the bat, talking about why as a staff we wanted to go forward with the redesign process, and we kept coming back to two main things, and that was our students finding passion and purpose through their learning. We want our students to come in every day excited and have a purpose for being here, not just here because they have to. So that was our big motivating factor to go through the redesign process. So our long-term vision, what we're hoping to get through this, is that we will develop relationships, life skills, and rigor for our students both now and in the future. So whether they jump right into the workforce, they go to a junior college or to a university.
Very good. So speaking on relationships, like I said, you guys are unique with having K-12 in one building. So how have you kind of seen this relationship building and worked that into the redesign so far?
We have made a few pivots along the way, just trial and error things that we've went through. We started out with a K-12, what we called flight crew program that was named off of our bombers.
Yeah.
And we went through and the kids were all in the gym and they were working on different projects together and things. And we kind of felt like it wasn't benefiting all of the students as much as we wanted. So we went back and we decided to make a change, and we made a K-5 flight cruise where they will meet with a certain teacher every morning for 30 minutes. And we go over life skills, the 7 habits, just things to kind of make them a better future leader, regardless of which path that they take. And then our 6 through 12 is also having a mentoring program where they're meeting and checking in with a mentor daily.
Good. So you said trial and error. This is kind of all about the research process and figuring out what works right now. So everything you've implemented this far is just protocols, correct? And it'll launch in August.
Correct. They consider them prototypes.
Prototypes.
And they go through and we're just trying things out, and then we will be meeting to kind of finalize our prototypes at the end of the year to see exactly what we will launch.
Yeah, very good. So I know, speaking with the other schools, they've been doing the training in Salina, and then you guys meet everybody in the district that's doing redesign. You guys meet twice a month. You guys are participating in that as well. And how many people do you have from your building on your team?
We have 10 people on our team that meet out of the building at Life Center Moments or in Salina during the month.
Very good. And so the flight crews, that's what you call them, correct? I like that. They meet in the morning, and then does the junior high and high school as well, they meet in the morning for the flight crews?
No, the junior high and high school are doing their time on an open lunch. They have a larger block of time throughout their lunch period. They have 80 minutes, and it gives them that time to choose when they go have their lunch, choose when they need to meet with their mentor, which it could be a little bit more specific because they do have the ability to go meet with an elementary teacher mentor if they would choose that, because they all do get to choose their own mentor.
Very cool. I like that they get that option of choice. And so junior high and high school has open lunch. Does elementary have open lunch as well?
Yes, they do. They have an open lunch from 11 o'clock to 12 every day, and they more go at a program time of when they go to lunch, but then they have a time to choose where they can go to recess, they can come back in the classroom. I know in my own classroom, some of them choose to work on a reading program, some of them are on the floor doing Legos, and some of them are outside. So it's just kind of a choice thing, and we just talk about it every day before they leave for that lunchtime.
Nice. And how's those type of things affected your staff? Because obviously if you have some kids outside and some kids choosing to play Legos, that's probably made your days look a lot different around the building.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing is just making that coordination, ahead of time. And sometimes we slip up and we don't coordinate it ahead of time, but we're getting better and better about just making sure we visit with the entire staff, make sure that our plans are in place before we do it. And as we went along, we've made those adjustments, and it's actually went very well and very smoothly. The transition hasn't been really that difficult to do. And the kids really like the choice. Mm-hmm. They like to be able to choose their time.
Yeah, very good. So speaking about staff, you said you have 10 team members doing redesign. And how many staff do you have in this building having K through 12? Do you know? Sorry, I asked you that off the whim.
Approximately 40 staff members total. That would be considering, all staff members. So
yeah,
that's about where we are.
And you had to have 80% vote last spring?
Mm-hmm.
So you did the vote to actually go into this redesign process. So they had to be kind of all on board before you even started.
That's correct. Yeah. Yes, we all had to vote to make that decision whether or not we were going to do this.
Very good. So they've adjusted.
Communication's been huge throughout that. Yeah. Making sure that we are communicating well with staff members, our students, and the community as well. So that way everybody's on the same page.
That's good. Good. Well, we will be right back with Wakefield School after this break.
Count on our team at Eagle for reliable internet, TV, and phone, because keeping you connected is what we do. Eagle Communications, our community connected. Count on our team at Eagle for business class phone, internet, and technology solutions, because keeping your business connected is what we do. Eagle Communications, our community connected.
Welcome back to Clay Center Now. I'm Shannon Stark with Clay Center Area Chamber of Commerce, and I'm sitting down with Wakefield School today to talk about redesign. In the last segment, we talked a lot about relationships, because that was something you mentioned was in your vision for now and in the future. But I think a really important one, especially going forward for their future, is life skills. You guys mentioned implementing these life skills within the school day. So what does that look like so far?
Yeah, that's something that our students voiced back in the fall when we surveyed them of, what would your perfect day of school look like? What are we missing in our school day? And that was something that both elementary and junior high and high school students said that they wanted more of, was just those basic life skills. So we have implemented in our flight crew time that we mentioned earlier, we are teaching the 7 habits and different life skills through that for our elementary students. Our high school students have a self-management course that they can take as a sophomore, junior, or senior, and they're focusing on things like time management, self-care, different life skills that they'll need in the future going forward.
Nice. So a project that you mentioned to me off camera was the older kids through a web design class is actually working with the community, which is fun and definitely a life skill to be able to work with adults. If you want to speak on that a little bit.
Sure. Our city council, when they had partnered with Washington, Kansas on the sister community, one of the other things that they said was that we needed more live action of what's really going on around our community. And the city said, we just really don't have the time or the ability to keep that updated. And so it was suggested that maybe our students take on that project. And through Redesign, it was an easy transition to make, that we could go ahead and have those students start that process with our web design teacher. So they went ahead and they took that on, and it's been really beneficial because we're immediately getting information out there on the website, updating it, and the students are getting the life skills of really being what a web designer would have to do in a real life job. And so it's a good skill on both ends, and it's also very beneficial to the community.
Very good. And what better than future, being able to do web design coming out of high school, it'd be huge. So
right.
Such a good skill. Also at the elementary level, you have partnered with the community. Will you speak on that project a little bit?
Yeah, we, again, when we partnered with when Wakefield partnered with Washington, Kansas, they noticed that we don't have a lot of signage in the community. So I spoke to the city council and I said, what if our class worked on something to do that and to make some new signs? And they thought that was a wonderful idea. So the kindergarten class and the first grade class got together and started talking about places that we would need signage around the community. And then they went in and we met with somebody from the Kansas State Highway Department, and they came in and they talked to us about what it takes, what you need, what kind of signage can be on a state highway, since we do have a state highway that runs directly through our main part of town. And we immediately had to pivot our entire project because we found out that we can't put any signs that we would like to design on the state highway. So the city council came back and said, why don't we instead put location signs around our community, like where our city building is, our library is, et cetera. And so the students, they worked together. The kindergarten came up with a design, and the first grade came up with a design. And then they had a group that came up and put the design together. And then we had a group that went to the city council and they presented their final design.
Cool. What an amazing experience for them to also have challenges along the way, like the highway department coming in and saying you can't do that, and then they have to pivot their project. That's really neat and such a fun thing for them to learn early on. So,
yes.
Very good. So something else you guys spoke on briefly before we got on camera was the rubric and how you're kind of changing your grading as well. How's that been going, and the response that you've been getting from maybe parents and kids?
Mm-hmm. At first it's a little bit hard to grasp is that, there's not going to be an A, B, C, D. Parents that have been in the lower elementary grades with their students have already seen this process take place because our kindergarten class has been on skill-based report cards for a while now. Our first grade went last year, but our older grades had not transitioned to this yet. But the teachers have been really doing a good job of communicating with the parents, letting them know. And I think it's opening up the opportunity to have more questions between the parents and the student. Mm-hmm. And the parents can also see exactly what skills that the student needs to focus on and work on and what they're already excelling in, so they don't need to spend a lot of time on it.
Very good. And I think that ties in a lot with, they're learning life skills and the real life application. And so they'll get, more feedback, because sometimes you just get a C and you're like, why did I get this C? And that communication is really important.
Right. When you have an employer, you don't normally have an ABCD process.
Right.
You have a checklist of what, you need met. And that's essentially what a skill-based report card is.
Very good. So the other thing in your vision was rigor. Would one of you want to speak on what you've done so far to implement that?
So one of the components to redesign is real-world application. So Mrs. Dumler, she spoke on some of the things that we're doing for real-world application, but that ties that rigor into it and making our kids think a little more outside the box and think more critically. So the project-based learning that she spoke on, that's one thing. Our fourth grade has started working on an outdoor classroom where they're doing some gardening and things like that, just to get them, again, thinking outside the box, real world, instead of your typical textbook pencil paper.
Right, and being stuck in the classroom, and they're getting outdoors and things that, a lot of jobs, a lot of things you think of in the real world, like, oh, I don't just want a desk job. Most desk jobs also have things that you've got to go out and you've got to be busy and the communicating with the communities, and it's very good that you guys are implementing all that. It's exciting. And the kids are loving it?
They are, yes. They're very excited. I can just tell when they're walking in the morning that they're excited to be here. They're excited to see us, and we're really excited to see them and start the day off.
That's awesome.
With our little families, our flight crews.
Very good. I like that, little families. It's important in a community like this, too, to have that family feeling. So.
It is, yeah. We really wanted to thrive on the fact that we are a K-12 building. That's just very unique. You don't see a lot of K-12 buildings anymore, and we wanted to build on that.
Good, good. All right, we will be right back after this break.
At Eagle Marketing Solutions, we believe your advertising should be as unique as your business. Because if it's important to you, it's important to us. Call Eagle today for your customized marketing plan.
Eagle Technology Solutions is the strategic advisor for your IT business needs. Because if it's important to you, it's important to us. Call today, Eagle Technology Solutions. Technology done right.
Welcome back to Clay Center Now. I'm Shannon Stark with Clay Center Area Chamber of Commerce, and we are sitting down today with Wakefield School to talk about redesign. So we talked about rigor right at our end of our last segment. So speak a little bit more about the personalized learning and what that looks like right now.
Yeah, our fourth grade teacher has really taken that on this year, and her kids have just absolutely enjoyed it. So personalized learning is just giving students more voice and choice in their learning. So she typically starts her day off with an agenda on the board, and the students work at their tasks just as they would like. They get to pick what they work on first. So that way they're working at their own pace. They can choose their hardest subject first, or they can start off with something a little bit easier for them. And she's just constantly conferencing one-on-one, checking in with them. And that ties in that standards-based grading we touched on during the last segment. She is one of the teachers that's doing standards-based grading. So that gives her time to check in, really see where the kids are at, areas that they need to work on. There's also some technology involved in that as well. So they're working on different apps that tie in with the curriculum, as well as doing different center activities. And like I said, sitting down and working one-on-one or in a small group with the teacher as well. And the kids are really thriving with that. In fact, if they have a normal scheduled day, she gets a little bit of backlash. They want their new personalized learning schedule back.
That's cool. And really learning how to prioritize and figure out what works best for them.
Yeah, and time management, something, they're used to that scheduled. Okay, we're going to work for 30 minutes on this, and then we're moving on whether you're finished with it or not. So really giving them some ownership and autonomy in their learning.
That's very cool. I like it. So something else that we talked about was we talked about going out in the community and working, but when you go to August, you kind of have some new ideas. What are some of those ideas? Because this hasn't launched yet. These are all prototypes, and you mentioned it's just in pockets of the building.
Yeah, so when we launch in August, we will look at all the data that we've collected through all these prototypes from feedback from the students and the staff as well, and we will decide what we want to do moving forward. So there's probably going to be some schedule changes that we need to implement come August, and things like the personalized learning that's just happening in one classroom. Well, if it shows to be effective, then that's something that would be implemented then school-wide next year. So that means that we're going to have some professional development that's going to be happening. A few teachers are going to a project-based learning conference this summer. So we'll come back in August and see, where we're at and where we need to go moving forward.
Nice. And can you speak a little bit about the scoreboards and that data collecting that you're doing? Yeah,
so as we collect data from our students and other stakeholders, we put that on a scoreboard to show hopefully growth, or, is it working, is it not working? We've talked about a few of the pivots that we've had to make this year, and that's because, something wasn't working. Mm-hmm. So instead of scrapping it and say, okay, this didn't work, we do what we call as a pivot, and just change it, tweak it just a little bit to make it work better for us, and see if that's working, then we'll keep doing it that same way. And if it's not, again, we'll go back, we'll make another pivot and try again.
I love how you really listen to the students and the staff, and you are aware of what's going on and what they like and dislike and what really makes them thrive. You guys are really aware of that, and it's cool to see. So.
Yeah, that's the neat part of redesign. It's student driven. It's not teacher driven. We want what's best for them and what they need. We've noticed how our society's changed just in the last few years with technology, and the skills that our students need to have going out now when they graduate high school is completely different. So we need to be changing and adjusting to those changes happening in society, and that's the beauty of redesign. Yeah, we get to make it our own and that's awesome. Meet the needs of our students.
Yeah, I love it. And Ashley, you spoke about going out in the community and doing some projects. What's that going to look like come August?
We're hoping just to continue that and to add on to it and increase it. We would like to have entrepreneurs come in of all different backgrounds and just speak about their different jobs and what they're doing, and possibly doing some job shadowing and some internships and around not just Wakefield, but even in Clay Center. And we really just want to reach out and have those people come in and show their leadership skills, and so students have a better idea of maybe a job that maybe they were interested in. They may find out that that's not their passion, or vice versa. They may find something else that they're really passionate about after seeing it more in detail.
Yeah, very cool. So they can continue to learn about some job opportunities. I feel like I wish I would have had more of that when I was in school, because there's a lot of jobs out there you don't even know exist. You don't realize that they're an option. So
right, yeah.
Bringing people in is really great, but also getting them out in the community. It sounds like you guys will do both. So.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Good. Anything else for the future, for when you launch in August, kind of ideas that you guys have? Or
I think the one thing is just that we're going to continue to grow this. We may start with something in August, and it still may not be the exact direction that we want to go. So it's going to be ever growing and ever changing, even in August.
I love that, ever growing and ever changing. So you'll continue to get feedback from the students and collect data and make sure what you're implementing is working. Mm-hmm. So, well, sounds like you guys are doing a great job, and I'm excited to see where these students end up. So thank you for joining us on Clay Center Now. I'm Shannon Stark with Clay Center Area Chamber of Commerce.